Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mexico for the first race of the fourth season of Formula Omega.
On pole position, once again, we have Alex in the Think Again, alongside Ileana in the Pnus.
And then we have quite a few interesting livery changes to talk about. Alex is back in the 56, no longer being champion, as number one is Daniel in the Frozen Light. Frozen Light with a massive change to their livery this season, and they're running it clean of advertising to celebrate their championship win. In third, we have a new look Pentacoron. Could be looking to win this race. And Lewis is the fellow constructors champion from last season alongside Dan is in fifth. Let's get going. Two lights, three lights, four lights, five lights. And the first 38 laps of the season are go. Very good start from Alex. Although Ileana having a go at the long run down to turn one, as is Dan. Alex down into fourth. Good start from L. Others making gains are Maggie and Michael. Jack G down 4. Dan not making a move into the first stadium section, although Ileana does go a bit deep. Into the hairpin. As Alex has dropped down to 5th. What a poor start that was. Let's take a look at that. So it's a short hold. He seems to get a good getaway. Just seemingly has a poor second phase, and of course when you're right at the front of the queue, you just don't have a slipstream.
That almost looks like the Think Again is lacking power. Like,
Does.
I don't know if they're running a high downforce setup or something, but they seem to fundamentally have a lack of straight line speed.
And some poor traction through the first series of corners allowed Mia Hart to get through. Lewis has also dropped down to 6th. Did only start 5th, to be fair.
So it's looking good for Pnus early on, but Dan is putting Ileana under a lot of pressure.
As we go into the stadium section for the first time. Greg gets past Greg and Alex battling behind. Ileana does seem to be running deep into a lot of these corners.
Do you think she's got a lot of fuel?
Possibly. Ileana better traction out of the final corner, but it's such a long run down this main straight.
I think Alex is going to be worried about being got by Lewis down this straight, who's very close to the back.
Indeed. As they go into turn 1. Alex just about holds the position. No, very good move from Lewis.
Alex
Greg
Greg
is
take a
now on the
tight line
back.
into the corner, and that cost him a lot of time. Greg is right on the back of these two. As Alex trying to repass around the outside, they're going to go through wide, maybe?
Oh, there's a lot of contact! They both spin!
And they're going to drop right to the back.
They have. Lewis gets going a lot better than Alex. Let's take a look at this. So, Alex is slightly ahead here. That doesn't look good.
Did Lewis leave enough space on the outside? Or did Alex turn in?
Did Greg was not a factor. No,
I think Alex had space there.
The thing is, it also looks to me a bit like Lewis does not really make the corner. I think there's 6-1, half a dozen the other, to be honest.
I don't think the stewards will be giving out any penalties on that one. Like, I think both of them could have avoided that.
But neither of them wanted to give up on the race, on the position.
On the other hand, if you're Lewis, like, you've done a pretty good job for Frozen Light there, taking out
You have, but you
someone who's
want
probably
to...
their main rival.
Oh, hanging close again. Maggie is up
That's
to
a car break.
7.
Was that Maggie? Or was that? Never mind. I thought I saw Greg pulling off the track there, but
No.
it looks like he was just taking a strange line into the corner.
There's been a lot of that happening. So Ileana once again gets good traction out of the final corner. Just pulls away from Dan. Elle defending from Mia.
Very early stages, but it looks like the Panus cars are more competitive in race pace than we're used to seeing, as Elle's having to go very defensive into that corner.
They were relatively competitive on their race pace last season. It was more their reliability that let them down, I think.
Sometimes their race pace was terrible.
Yes, especially Ileana's, as Maggie is past Alex. Let's take a look at this move. Takes the outside line there.
Does Alex go off at the next corner?
Yes!
And that might let Jack Coffey go through.
So let's take a look. So yeah, Alex locked up. Normally you're taking more speed through there.
This is going to be a very interesting battle for 7th then. Jack Coffey against the driver he replaced.
Indeed. Of course, the Ripper team being founded along with their tyres since Alex left Pentacorn, or was fired from Pentacorn. Nice defending into the stadium section there from Alex.
Alex is not going to want to let this place go more than any other place that could lose.
Ooh, Jack had pretty good traction in comparison. As Greg sets the fastest lap of the race. And Jack drives past Alex.
Greg is right on the back of Mia and Elle now.
See, just checking there. No. Indeed. Oh, what an overtake! For Mia there as Elle locks up. I want to get another look at that.
It was a very late braking move from Mia Hart.
Well, Elle locks up. Honestly, it doesn't even look that late. I think Elle just broke a bit early. And poorly.
Strange to lock up from braking that early, though.
I think just trying to get the car turned quicker to get a faster exit, maybe? Jack G is out of the race in the Slim Pagan. Looks like it was a technical failure.
Not a good start to the season for him. Puncture.
Always unfortunate.
So that's
Omega
those
tyres.
Omega tyres
Oh,
having an issue.
up
And
ahead.
Mia Hart and Ileana. They can't have had contact.
There's
They
a
weren't
lot
anywhere
of
near
things
each
going
other.
on here. So first,
So Ileana was our race leader.
Alex H has crashed. Well, Alex H had a technical failure. Oh, and then that's not good. Next, Ileana. Was there contact with Dan? So go into the S's. And towards the stadium section. Oh, there was a lockup. Which just allowed Mia to get close. Was there contact with Mia?
So there was contact between them.
Yes.
And those two will also drop right to the back if they can't get
Chris and Michael were battling through that corner as well.
Mia's not in a safe place at all there. Like,
Ileana got going again.
Yes. So Greg just has to get past Elle now, and they'll have a clear run at
What happened
Dan.
with Ileana here? That's a decent hold to keep it out of the wall and find a gap. So very unfortunate for Mia. I don't think there's anything in that, though, to punish.
I still haven't seen it, to be honest. My internet has been absolutely
Yeah.
awful.
Like,
I think I've seen about 1 lap of racing total.
it's fine. It just looks like an overspeeding issue. Maybe you could argue that Ileana moves in the braking zone?
Let
Like,
me see it
let's go on
again for
board
the
with
first time.
Ileana. No, I think that's just a racing incident, to be honest.
Yeah.
Very unfortunate for Mia. As Chris takes advantage there. So all change at the top.
Michael now into the points from 19th on the grid.
As Dan leads by 5 seconds over L after all of that.
L is,
L was third,
without
Greg
any
fourth.
technical failures,
Alex H had a
L could easily
throttle
decide
issue.
this race. I think Greg has the pace to challenge Dan here.
Yeah.
But he has to get past L quickly.
Yeah. Confirmed it was a throttle issue for Alex H, which we rather suspected after seeing that incident. And Greg's still battling. Oh! Jack! The other Pentacorn's round now. What is going on? Is there contact with Maggie? There was. Maggie kept it going. Let's take a look at the onboard here. That's poor driving from Jack Coffey. That's all I think is going to be said about that. As Jack drops down, Pentacorn 19th and 20th after 5 laps. Not what they will have wanted.
Now leading by 8 seconds ahead of L.
Yeah. Yeah, Pentacorn both making unforced errors leading to contact, I think, as we said. Dan now is released and sets the fastest lap of the race. This is relatively unsurprising. 8.5 seconds over L.
The issue is that Panus car is so quick down the straights that, the only real overtaking places are after the long straights here. But that's where the Panus car is at its best. So Greg has got a really hard task on his hands to try and get past L right now.
He might try and go through into the hairpin.
This corner is probably his best chance.
Indeed. L went a bit deep there. You can't overtake in the hairpin. But you can get a better exit into the S's, perhaps?
And with every move that doesn't work for him, he just gets further and further behind Dan.
Yeah. Mia has overtaken Lawrence towards the back. Much better entry into the stadium section for Greg. And Greg goes through. What a way to take the opportunity.
And now it's going to get interesting. What's Greg's pace relative to Dan? Because those two have got to be a battle for the lead today.
Well, you say L is fast down the straight. Can they keep up with Greg?
The gap's already a second, so I feel like Greg's got this now.
I feel like it's less than a second now. But both the Panus cars have had issues with their braking.
And
Lawrence? Is Lawrence? Oh, as Ollie gets past Elise. Mia's on the back of this train. Oh no, Jack just passed Lawrence. So Pentacorn's trying to make their way back up through the train. Kevin going for a move on Alex. This is not what we expected to see. And then Lewis is ahead of Alex. It's a whole mess back here. So Elise is rather at the head of this train. You know, Alba gets up into the points ahead of Chris. Chris had a bad series of corners there.
Oh wow, it's completely died.
Yeah. Mia. Oh, Greg sets the fastest lap, chasing Dan by quite a way.
Okay, back.
Yeah. So we've just had Greg set the fastest lap by a large margin over Dan.
But that completely turns this on its head then, doesn't it? If they were on similar fuel levels, then Dan has definitely got a race on their hands.
Yeah. Michael.
Bron having such a good performance.
Yeah.
So is Michael, of course.
Nicely avoiding the contact there.
Of course, Michael won the pre-season race, but there's a lot tougher competition here, and
Elise trying to hold off Lewis.
Lewis recovering from that early contact with Alex.
Oh.
Where is Alex relative to Lewis?
Alex has been overtaken by Kevin in this last lap.
So, we've got 4 top-running cars that are all very close to each other. They're
Yeah.
all going to have to get past a lot of back markers
We have
here.
Lewis, Kevin, Alex, and the Pentacorns back here.
Like, all of these have the potential to still get back into the points here.
Yeah.
And it's going to come down to who's the best overtaking.
As Ollie looking for a move on Alpine to the stadium section.
And that's Mia, the car ahead. But she's had a
Yes.
very disappointing race from her grid position. I think she's
Yes.
carrying a lot of fuel.
Speaking of disappointing grid positions, Mia's teammate Alp, who I thought that was for a second, qualified in 30th position, or did not qualify, having finished 30th.
Incredibly
Michael gets
disappointing
past
from him.
Bronwyn.
Must have had some kind of issue. Yes, and that's
As
Daisy
does
on the
Daisy!
inside.
Oh! Now, my initial reaction, having not seen a replay, is that Bronwyn turned in on Daisy. Let's take a look from offboard first. Very nice camera for this. Oh, have to go on board. So Bron is going relatively slowly.
Yes, she's
Daisy
lacking a
has
lot
the
of speed down the
overspeed.
straight. I don't know if Daisy was making the corner,
I think Daisy was. Just an outside line.
but I think she probably was.
Bron goes to cover the inside.
It's hard to
It
see what
looks
Bron did wrong
it
there.
looks worse from Bron's onboard, I will say.
Like, I see that Bron left the car's width on the inside for the entire duration of that. I can't see how she would possibly
No.
be given a penalty.
I think this might be a 5-second penalty for Daisy, causing a collision.
It's a very aggressive move from her, and
Yeah. I think
they were both having such a good race, but it's going to make all of those top cars coming through its life a lot easier.
Well, it's just 2 cars, and they were already like they weren't part of the train. As Mia Hart almost collides with Alex there.
The 3 of them trying to get past Kevin's dancing donkey car.
Well,
Alex has
Kevin
been
was
stuck there for a
behind
while, I think,
Alex at
now.
one point. Slight lock-up from Elise. So as they go through the S's, Daniel crosses the line to start lap 10. Greg only 6.6 behind now.
And this race is very much on for the lead. I think the 2 of them will have a pit stop gap over the rest of the field by the time they make their stops, assuming Greg isn't really light on fuel.
It is possible.
We'll
It
find
is
out soon
interesting
enough.
that Lewis, as Mia
That's
is
Mia
the first to
pits.
pit. Oh no, not
Surely
the first.
a problem. There's
Ollie.
no way she had that light fuel.
These are the first scheduled stops, I believe. I think Mia was caught in traffic, potentially. Or maybe the Alfa Romeo just isn't as good this year.
It definitely didn't look as good in Alpsand in qualifying, did it?
7.6 for Ollie, 7.2 for Mia, and Jack is off again!
But I think that was probably contact.
Oh
Perhaps
no.
with his teammate.
Well, there's 4 abreast effectively here. And why has that camera angle done that?
Fine, I wasn't going to see it anyway.
Oh, there's contact with Kevin!
It's Kevin! That's impressive, to be honest, to hit Kevin when you're 3 cars behind him.
Reminds me of Keir's move at the start of the pre-season race in Bahrain, but less
Except that
successful.
actually worked.
Okay, that's just on Jack.
I would describe that move as ambitious.
And unsuccessful. However, I don't believe there will be a penalty. They've rather
It's hard to say that he's
they've rather
penalised anyone
enforced
but
a penalty
himself.
on themselves already, yeah. And
He hasn't
Kevin
dropped that
actually
far
survived
back,
that. Kevin survived
Yep.
it.
Not with seemingly no damage and no loss of position.
Yeah. In fact,
If
further
anything,
ahead.
he's further ahead.
I think Alex was so surprised that he actually, like, I think that whole group just put on the brakes a bit harder than they would have expected.
I think this whole group is going to come right back together over the next few laps, though.
Yeah. Of course, Lawrence, the only driver in this race running the tyres of Kings. There is one other. Oh, Michael is past Alex. So to interrupt myself. How did that happen? Was it just overspeed down the main straight? Indeed it was. Michael up to 6th in the Affoniere.
Michael has a real chance of 3rd place here. Like, he's only 4 seconds behind the Panusas. And Maggie is right on the 2 of them as well, but I think that was already the case.
Oh, as Ileana is actually looking for a move on L, perhaps.
Ileana, of course, was originally ahead of Elle, but dropped back after contact with Mia Hart.
Yes.
So this is her looking to regain
Mia
this
Hart and
position.
Alex currently battling. Mia Hart
Mia
is
Hart's got through.
And Kevin looking for a move on Elise. I wonder if Kevin kind of saw and felt what happened with Jack and just decided to get out of there.
You wouldn't think he would have the pace in hand to be able to do that, but maybe he was saving his tyres before.
I will note it is a long pit lane here. Like,
Greg's now got that lead down to 4.4 seconds out front, and the 2 of them 20 seconds clear now of the Panusas.
1.3 seconds faster last lap.
And if Greg
Another
was
4
making an
tenths
early...
in this sector.
If Greg's on very light fuel, we'll see him in very soon. Perhaps at the end of this lap.
Didn't hear anything while we were watching them there. This is very interesting, this battle for 3rd. Lewis and Kevin battling. Lewis has cleared Kevin.
So Lewis is... Okay, yeah, no, that's... Now this is Kevin caught up to Lewis, surely?
No, Lewis has cleared Kevin. Oh! As behind, Daisy goes through on Alex as Greg does pit at the end of the lap, like you suggested.
So they were lighter on fuel, but we'll see just how much lighter when we see when Dan comes in.
But no, so Lewis was behind Kevin.
Can
By
Greg
quite
get
a-
out ahead of the Panusas? Because, like, this is
L
make or
pits.
break. That helps.
Maggie and Ileana.
That helps a lot. If Greg can get out and use those fresh tyres to left full advantage, he
Greg is
won't
very
be
much
able
not
to.
out.
He's going to be right in that train when his tyres are at their freshest. So this is going to hurt Greg quite a lot.
Greg is behind Michael. That is something we have seen many a time over the years.
Well, Michael's already on the back of that train. It was only 2 laps ago that he was 4 seconds behind the
Yeah.
Panus cars.
A lot of things. Oh, Chris! Chris R is out. As Alex switches back for a move on the inside. Nice overtake there on Jack.
Jack getting ahead of Alex.
Yeah, Alex has had a poor time there. Mia
Alex is
having a
just having a poor
7.1.
race, to be
Daisy
honest.
having a 7.6. Mia looking for a move on Ollie. They, of course, they do slow down for the punctured and out. Oh, Alex! Alex is out!
Alex out of the race!
Alex has crashed, I think.
How have they knocked that wheel off?
Oh!
Oh, that was Elise!
Elise had
Elise's
spun.
car just parked across the track.
That's huge for the championship.
So Elise was racing Lewis, I think?
Yes, and Kevin.
So there might have been contact here. Lewis on the inside.
That's odd. Odd is
No,
the best
odd
way
is
to
certainly the
describe
word
that.
for it, but... Did Lewis brake too late to make the corner?
No, Lewis is slowed down. Like, Elise
Yes.
just doesn't really leave room, from my view.
That is a strange one.
I don't think anything can really be done about that.
It wasn't really hard contact. Like, I've seen so many times them hit each other that much and just both of them keep going. We saw it with Jack. Well, I guess Jack didn't really keep going, but...
Well, with Kevin. But yeah, I think it's just going to have to go as it is. With Alex out of the race, that couldn't change no matter what. But Lewis up in 8th. And Jack very likely to overtake Elise through here, since Elise doesn't have a front wing. Or at least only half of one.
It's costing Jack a lot of time, though.
As the cars stream past. Elle having
It's
just
remarkable
pitted.
just how... It's remarkable how far they dropped back from that pit stop, actually. I didn't realise that these two were in the pit window.
It is
almost.
a very long pit lane.
Now, Greg needs to get past the 3 cars in front very quickly.
So
'cause
Elise does come in.
he's going to have...
for pit stop. Is that slow, Michael? Is that just Michael being slow? That's Michael being slow, I think.
I think Greg... I mean, I'd expect Greg's car to be 2 or 3 seconds a lap quicker on pure pace right now. It's got fresher tyres than everyone else. Dan Pitts.
Yes.
So it's made it 2 laps further than Greg.
It's 2 laps fresh tyres. Will Dan come out ahead of Ileana?
I think almost certainly.
6.2. Ileana hasn't pitted. I think
Neither has
a lot
Maggie.
of the issue is the very long pit exit here.
But Dan's going to be comfortably out ahead of Eliana, I think.
Indeed.
I think Greg fundamentally has the quicker car, but he's going to lose so much time again being stuck behind a Fanus.
And a polite puffin.
It actually seems like the polite puffin is doing more of the holding up right now. Ileana's got a bit of a gap.
I'd say that's a rather impolite puffin, actually.
Well, Maggie's certainly helping Dan's race quite a lot. 2 of them both, of course, running gridlock tyres.
Alba has caught up to the back of this. I know that she hasn't pitted. Kevin got back past Lewis just then.
Of course, some of the cars that haven't pitted are making one less stop.
Kevin has actually had a pretty decent race pace. 'Cause the Dancing Donkey looked really quite poor in qualifying.
How does Kevin's pace compare to, say, Ileana's?
The 1:18.5
On the-
fastest lap. Doing faster
On
than this
the
previous-
last lap.
I can't check that. At least not with that window. Kevin
No,
currently
not with that
setting
window.
personal bests, by the way.
He's got really good pace. Those tyres just seem to be getting
And
better and better.
Ileana-
Ileana pits.
Pitt did a 22.4, then a 51.9.
I thought she might have more fuel on board than that.
Kevin
That's cool.
is a lot faster as Ollie has blown up.
Michael back past Greg.
Yes, and Alex Woodger and Ileana both pitting. 9.8 for Ileana. I think Ileana had an issue.
But that might be fueled to the end.
It could be. But, like, she was also just going so much slower than even Kevin. No, it was just genuinely that slow. I think it could be a one-stop, yeah. Alex Woodger...
She's going to have a very heavy fuel load for the next few laps. That car's going to be difficult to drive.
So Alex does get out with another long fuel load. Elle goes through, importantly.
So Elle has one more pit stop to make.
Lawrence actually splits those two. Alba and Michael battling.
This is such a close race between second and fifth. Like, that's really what I want to be seeing, because...
Yeah.
Well, Dan is just building up a massive lead over these two, and I think Greg has the quicker car. But he's lost so much time in traffic that it's putting him out of contention.
As we saw, Ollie is out with an engine failure. 17 cars still running. Bronwyn at the
very strange coloured smoke that was coming out of Ollie's car. What do you think was wrong with that?
Fire?
I mean, maybe, but it doesn't normally look like that as
Maggie Pitts. That was a bit sketchy.
I don't think Greg realised that she was coming into the pits until quite late there. I'm not sure Maggie realised she was coming into the pits until quite late there.
I believe it.
Kevin in as well.
Yes.
So Kevin had very good pace. That was a long fuel load.
It was.
If Kevin's one-stopping, he's on for a really good result here.
Lewis hasn't pitted. So Maggie did a 9.3. Al with a 7.6, but had to wait.
So they're going to be in the same order, but where are they going to come out relative to those that have already pitted? Ileana goes through ahead of all of them?
Kevin. Elle certainly does. Ileana just overtakes Maggie, who goes horribly wide on that heavy fuel and those cold tyres. Stays ahead of
Now
Alba.
goes Lawrence.
Lawrence has not pitted. So
Lawrence has got good pace on those old tyres.
As Alba and Maggie keep battling. Maggie back through. Ooh, I was about to say what a move from Maggie, and then she does that. Maggie. Maggie. Maggie.
Oh no.
Oh.
Maggie has made a lot of people very annoyed today. Can she get the car facing the right way before someone comes around that corner?
Yeah, it would have been Elise. Oh no. So Daniel and Greg have pitted at the front. Michael, Lewis and Jack haven't. Elle and Ileana have. Lawrence hasn't. I believe everyone else has.
So Michael has
Dan is
an
about to lap Bronwyn.
Right?
As Jack C pits.
Can I just say how much of a good position Michael's now in? Like,
yeah.
He's clearly on a one-stop fuel load, but despite that, he gained so many places in the opening lap. Like, I thought Michael was light on fuel.
Dan has lapped Bronwyn on lap 18 of 38.
Bron's been involved in some incidents, right? Like, that's not just on pace, right?
I think one incident, maybe.
Yeah, no, like, Bron was actually running very well in the early stages. That's definitely not on pace.
Fair. I just don't remember it. Lawrence and Alba battling. Of course, Alba has pitted. And then Kevin gets past Alex. I reckon Kevin is on for a good points finish here.
Do you think Kevin has to stop again?
7.3 seconds stop, just under half distance. I'd say
Alex would just definitely feel to the end.
Stop. But that's a lot, big pace gap.
Oh yeah, like, Alex Woodger is clearly struggling with that heavy car right now.
So was Maggie.
Ileana seems to be handling it just fine, though. And she was one of the first of the one-stoppers to pit.
The Panusses were both on heavy fuel loads to start with, so they're probably more used to it.
That would make sense. So Greg Greg's now 14 seconds behind after being held up badly. Michael, who only who also only has to stop once more. Only 7 seconds back.
Greg was 7/10 faster than Dan through the middle sector.
That DLP, despite the older tyres, is still quicker. Like, if it wasn't for everyone holding Greg up, he would be the race leader right now. It's amazing how much difference that's made to
I
his
don't
race.
know if we can say that necessarily.
Perhaps not, but
I think we do also have to take into account the fact that Greg started in 9th.
he gained most of those positions pretty quickly, though.
It's
really
but
one-
it does not help.
No. Like, Dan definitely deserved the advantage that they got for qualifying better. But I think the DLP is definitely the better car right now.
That is fair.
But 13 seconds in 18 laps is a long gap to catch up.
Well, through the last lap, or through this first sector, Greg has made up 2/10.
And that's assuming that Greg doesn't, say, come out of the pits behind Lewis when he makes his pit.
We've seen some interesting goings on with Lewis so far.
We definitely
Lewis
have.
is
He's
in
still on for a
4th
good
right
race.
now, I'd like to
He
point
hasn't
out.
stopped, right?
Yeah. Lewis and Michael haven't stopped. Neither has Lawrence, who's just being overtaken by Alba.
4th could well be the result that Lewis is on for here.
Yeah, Michael, Lewis and Lawrence have not stopped.
Because Lewis has got a 14-second gap back to L, but L also has to stop again. And Ileana, who doesn't have to stop again, is nearly a whole pit stop window back.
Kevin almost passed Lawrence there, which would not be surprising. So on that through this lap so far, Lewis has set a personal best first sector.
And they're much better lap times than the cars.
Lewis
as they
finally
come to
pits.
pits.
However, was 8/10 faster than L through the middle sector.
And you've got to expect that Lewis's second stint is going to be even quicker, because he's going to have a lighter fuel load and fresher tyres.
Yeah. New set of gridlocks go on.
Lewis could have been in contention for the win here,
8
if
stop.
it wasn't for that accident with Alex.
Well, as it is Lewis going to come out ahead of Alba?
Doesn't
No.
look like it.
But
He's
ahead
gonna
of
have to-
Lawrence. That's a healthy 7th place for Lewis,
Yeah.
especially given the fact that he doesn't have to stop.
Yeah, some of the cars
Can
ahead
he-
definitely do need
Can
to.
Lewis undercut Michael?
Like, Lewis, it's a 10-second gap, so that's going to be a challenge, but we'll see what his pace is like now. If he's going to do it, he's going to have to get past Alba and Ileana on the track and hope that Michael's running a few laps longer.
So yeah, Greg does have the fastest lap overall right now, as we knew.
As Michael pits now, perhaps to cover off Lewis, but more likely
you've
because
got
that's how
to.
much fuel he has.
Yeah, but even so, you've got to do that.
So where's Michael going to come up the pits? Because Lewis is 11 seconds behind L, so I'd expect between L and
Lewis
Ileana.
in that middle sector set a 10th faster than his previous fastest lap. 8.4 for Michael, it's 4/10 slower.
Are we about to see L go past?
Does go past.
But I think he'll
Ileana
be safe from Ileana.
does not. Remember how Michael won the Bahrain?
On a long first stint and extreme consistency.
Yes.
Well, he hasn't come up with any new strategies here, has he?
Does he
But
need to?
It seems to be working just as well. He has a very good chance of a podium here
I
from
wonder,
close to the back of the grid.
Seeing this, if more teams in the future might go towards a one-stop strategy.
We'll see whether they have any
It
issues
does
with the tyres
depend. Both
dropping
here and
off.
Bahrain do have very long pit lanes. It has to be said.
And I think part of the reason that Dan and
L
Greg have been
locks
able to... L has no grip through those S's.
Are they coming in now, possibly, if they flat as watched it?
It's a long final stint,
I will say,
considering...
Lewis is only 7 seconds behind Michael. Ooh, I thought Michael was going to go for the move there.
I think Lewis needed 2 more laps to do an undercut there. 2 more laps and an overtake on Alba and Ileana quickly.
So Alba is right on the back of Ileana here.
And Lewis is going to be with them within 3 or 4 corners, I think.
Yeah, Albert
gap's 2
proudly showing
seconds,
off
but at the rate he's going-
grid tyres.
They do look good, don't they? It's amazing how they've got it so that it lines up at high speed, so that you can still see the logo.
It's very good marketing. Dan is now catching Alex Woodger and Mia and this whole train.
This is going to be an issue for the
train.
leaders, isn't it?
This is more of an issue for Greg than anyone else, I'd say.
The 2 Pentacrons have
That was a
recovered
nice
into the
move.
points.
That was a nice move from
Daisy.
Daisy on Kevin. Kevin has
Kevin
dropped
does
back.
not... He doesn't really seem to be as quick as he was. That dancing donkey car, as he's going for a move...
Pulls
That
out of it.
dancing donkey car almost seems to be better on old tyres.
Wait,
Look at
Lawrence
that gap
still has
between
not
L.
stopped. And
That's
is the cause of this
remarkable.
train.
His pace must be absolutely terrible.
It's
Let's see how
not.
much he drops off
It's
Lewis.
genuinely not.
I think Lewis is being held up by Eliana.
Well, to be fair, Lawrence's best lap is bad.
I think having 24
Kevin,
laps of fuel was
oh!
me.
What happened with Mia?
Loses
there?
2 places.
Oh, was there contact between the Pentacorns?
I don't think there was contact. It just looked like a lock-up from Mia, didn't it?
Yeah, it was. Oh, what I was saying was that Lawrence is consistent. Like, Lawrence is at the exact same time as his fastest through the middle sector. Finally pits on lap 24. As Dan pits for a second time, that is sensible in my opinion.
Yeah, gets them out of that train.
Yes.
Like, I think even if they had a few more laps of fuel, with the gap to Greg they've got, they don't want Greg
Greg has to
coming at
stop
them
again,
quickly.
most likely, as well. Yeah, Greg is now going to catch that train as well.
And Dan is a full minute
Nice
ahead of
stop
L.
for Dan as well.
Nice. Dan
He's
being
going
a
to be
full minute
briefly
ahead of L.
stuck behind Lawrence.
I think they're going to have a lovely clear track in front of them.
Well, apart from Lawrence and Braun.
Well, they're going to get out the way. They're lap cuts, right?
Will they?
They don't have to by rules, but it's considered like the nice thing to do to not fight a car that's a lap ahead
Ileana.
of you.
Ileana's spun.
Was there contact with Lewis or Alba? This is in the S's.
Alba would be, if anyone. With
Just
Lewis.
gets on that bit of
No,
extra
just locks
car.
up. Oh,
the
comes
spins
back
are coming
on.
back on.
Yeah. Jack Coffey.
He's had an eventful race. I don't think he expected to be racing Ileana, considering where they both were like 20
Kevin
laps
has
ago.
been in the middle of everything. So Dan is only 16 seconds behind Greg.
Dan, of course, with a relatively clear track in front of them now, fresh tyres, and Greg is going to be coming up on that big train in a few laps.
Greg pits.
As they know this, I'm sure.
Greg actually got past Elise.
I think that might have been what cost them a bit of time to Dan, but it might have just been the tyre advantage as well.
Yeah.
In any
Michael
case,
gets past
Michael...
L. Oh, there's been a lot
contact.
of contact.
Oh no, this is really the only thing that could have cost Michael this third place. L didn't need to stop again. This is completely unnecessary from Michael.
I'd have to say that is completely unnecessary from Michael, it seems.
Yeah.
I think Michael had a heavier car than he realised.
Perhaps, but like, he doesn't know that
Yeah,
L...
Michael understeers into that.
He might not know that L has to stop again. But
Yeah.
even so, that was a bit stupid.
Alba moves up into 4th from that.
Alba's had a quiet but good race. Kind of like the opposite to what Kevin's been doing. F5 to get rid of that weird line. As
What went
Greg exits the pits, you can see it on board.
Oh, yeah.
No worries.
Oh, it's the... Oh, I know what that is. Yeah.
I've actually been able to watch the last 10 laps. It's been great.
7 seconds the gap with 12 laps to go. It's gone down.
That's a bit less than I expected. And Greg
Albert
will now
Pitts.
have the
I
tyre
wonder if there was
advantage.
damage. Lewis is in 4th, chasing down L.
Can
There's
Lewis
a
do better than
possibility
Michael did?
of a double podium for Frozen Light with Alex out of the running. I'd honestly say, just based on this race, Punus might be their main challenger.
I think they're still struggling for race
Punus
pace. Like,
or Pentacoron. As
perhaps.
Lewis
I
goes
think-
through as L locks up.
I
Look,
think from
L
this
is
race,
going very slowly. No,
Yes.
L's got back going.
and L does have less fuel, we think, than the cars around them as well. So, would expect them to be doing better than this. But they did pit very early for their new set of tyres.
So it is a
Oh.
Frozen Light 1-3 after everything that's happened.
Going back to the point we had earlier, I think DLP are the obvious competition for Frozen Light here. Like, they're the only car that has clearly looked a bit quicker.
The
And, like,
reason why I was saying otherwise is due to Punus having a 2-car team.
and DLP only having one. That's definitely a big difference. Like, in the team's
Greg might get
championship,
held up by Bronwyn here.
I'm tempted to write Frozen Light's name on the constructors already, but there's a
I
very,
very
long way
much
to
would
go.
not be. There's 9 laps to go in this race, anything could happen.
I'll be surprised if we don't see one of the top 7 have a technical failure before the end of it. As Jack Coffey is, well, still on the back of Eliana, but
Mia Pitts? Good
Michael
stop.
has caught back up to L. So that one is not
Dan
one.
has lapped Lawrence quite cleanly. Michael and L had another collision.
At the same corner, it looks like, doesn't it? Isn't that
L
L4?
is pitting this lap. Oh,
Same
that's on L.
move.
That one is on L.
I think L would argue that Michael wasn't far enough alongside to go for that.
You've still got to leave room.
I mean, maybe. At some point, you just assume the move isn't on.
Why is that just always on?
Well, you can't turn it off in a replay.
There. Oh, I know what I did then.
You
No.
pressed F5 before the replay started.
Yeah, I did.
Probably.
I did. But L just...
Anyway,
I mean, they both get going. I think that's going to be a warning.
this is costing Michael so much time to Lewis, though. Like, Michael was comfortably ahead of Lewis. They're on the same strategy, but Michael's now
Honestly,
well behind.
This has brought like Jack and Daisy and Kevin and Mia into bigger consideration than they were.
I think some of those have to stop again.
Sure.
But not all of them.
There's only 10 laps remaining, and we don't expect many pit stops in the final, 7 laps?
Mia pitted on lap 10, so this has been a very long middle stint from her,
Yeah.
unless, of course, she's made a second pit stop with us realizing.
Greg 4/10 faster than Dan in the first sector.
This race is very much on. I think Greg is going to catch Dan before the end of the race with the pace they've got right now.
Lawrence could help.
I think lapped cars could well decide this.
Indeed, Lawrence and Mia H are in between and battling, which is never fun to see. As Daisy and Jack battling, will Kevin take advantage of the mistake? No, L with a 6.3 comes out in 12th. Mia also pitted, comes out 13th. Dan is past
Nearly a
Mia.
lap down.
Dan will not have been expecting to see L.
No, they were like actually racing each other on track not that long ago, weren't they?
For second while Alex was in the lead. Before Alex and Lewis.
I don't
no,
think
no.
L's.
Oh no, it was for the
Once they-
lead, wasn't it?
Once
at
they
the
get
start
those
of the
tires,
race.
I think it was Eliana that was
Yes, it
leading
was
at that
Ileana.
point. L's pace doesn't look that good right now, but I think once they get those tires up to temperature, like this is such a short stint that car's going to be really quick. Like so, Lewis
It's an
shouldn't be held up
80-second
too
lap,
much.
but it's a long way to Alba. This is Alba, Maggie, and Alex W.
Looks like Alex is not got the best
Will L
grip
let
right
down
now.
through in the final corner?
That's not what I would call letting through, but
It's not that bad. Will Mia try and take advantage of this? Not
Mia, of course, also recently pitted.
Alex
And
Woodrow
what
and
progress
Maggie
has
were back.
Greg made in getting past the lap
L
penalties? Oh,
unlaps themselves. That is legal.
it is. I
It's
suspect
annoying,
L is not
but legal.
L is not about to pull away from Dan though.
Ah.
This has cost Dan more time than anything. Like, that gap is now under 2 seconds. If Dan can't get past this lap, and they can,
Yeah.
but of course
Will
Greg's now going to
Greg
have the
have the
same
same
problem with
issues?
these two. Probably. There's not that many good... There's one good overtaking place between here and the start-finish line. And that's down the straight after these S's.
It is.
So Greg has to get one of them down this straight, and then...
You tend to be able to get through one lap car. Yeah, it gets past the pentagon.
And then maybe L will let him
Daisy
through
pits from 6th.
in this section.
Well, this is what we thought with Dan would happen.
I think
Greg
what L
lost
did here...
2 tenths in the middle sector there. And that is not helping.
No, and this has cost Greg at least another half second. Bad exit off the final corner.
Let's just check. So Daisy's pitting as they all go through. 5.
And Greg's not going to get a run down the start-finish straight because the Penuscar will pull out about 100 metres or more down with their power advantage.
So
like,
Greg
the best
was
opportunity is the
1
next
second
corner.
faster in the first sector, but ended up doing a lap identical to Dan's. Oh, Mia
and this is for
tried to
position.
take advantage of the car being lapped. Maggie just got past Ileana's out, I think.
She was running in the points, wasn't she? On a long fuel strategy.
Yeah, Ileana is out.
Looks like some kind of technical problem.
Does. That is a shame, honestly. That is a real shame.
With both Penuscars getting so far into this race, it really looked like they would overcome their reliability issues.
Can Michael, as Kevin pits again, we thought he may, suspension failure for Ileana.
That's going to drop Kevin right out the points, isn't it? But he will have very quick pace towards the end.
Don't know if it'll be right out. Ellie is currently in 10. Oh yeah, it will be right out. Lawrence is on the back of this lot.
And of course, Lawrence has much better pace than he did early on. He's done his long first stint. He's got relatively fresh tyres now. And the points are within sight for Lawrence.
Quite literally. Oh, going slowly, that's Maggie!
Maggie!
That looks like another suspension failure to me.
Greg's got the gap down at the lead, down to 1 second.
There's Alex Woodrow in the way. That's why, though.
Alex Woodrow must have held up Dan quite a lot, but he's doing the same job to Greg.
You can't really overtake as well.
Next opportunity will be here, maybe?
Yeah. Start of the S's if you have a lot of overspeed. Alex was
I think the gap's bigger than it was.
Oh, much bigger. 3 seconds now.
Just 6 laps to go.
The leaders have lapped 7th place.
It's incredible just how much quicker these two have been than everyone else. Or more. Just how much of an advantage that they've been able to pull out while everyone else squabbles over positions. Often that they don't need to fight for.
Yeah.
In Michael's case. Like Lewis
sector, Greg gained 2 tenths.
Lewis would only be like 10 seconds behind those two if it wasn't for that contact.
Lewis and Michael have kept a consistent gap to the leaders.
Yeah. Yeah. They're clearly the next best out there, and they've had eventful races, but they're still 3rd and 4th.
Michael
and under no pressure from behind.
Yeah, honestly, if Michael's qualified 19th, if Michael just has a similar as Ale gets past Alex, Elle, of course,
An
on the
important move
much
for them.
fresher tyres.
Elle now looking to chase down Alba.
Daisy not necessarily gone from the points.
I think the position's still going to change a lot between here and the end.
Oh yeah, especially right here.
As Elle's dropped right back on, right back towards this group. It looks like Alex Woodger's car is the better one through the S's.
But
it's
then
not
you get
easy
this,
to get a good slipstream down
straight
here.
into the stadium. Oh, slight lock up from the Pentagon.
Is that going to give Mia an opportunity?
That is still Maggie, the yellow flag. Kevin on the back of Lawrence there.
What lap cars are the leaders coming up to for the final 5 laps then?
Alba?
Alba. I think Alba's going to be quite cooperative. She's not really known for...
Has a history with Dan.
Yes.
A long and storied history. They were teammates for many years. Does Greg have enough time? And a good enough overtaking opportunity?
I think Greg was 7 or 8 tenths quicker on that last lap, and he needs half a second a lap.
There's 3 tenths in the first sector.
I think given a clear run with no lap cars in the way, Greg can still win this race.
I just had a mistake, I think. Is there contact with Mia?
It's that Daisy going down the inside of both of them. Brilliant move from her. As Alex Woodger loses out both positions.
That's all it was.
Looks like he might have an issue because he's immediately dropped back towards Lawrence.
He's just tyres are dead.
He can't pit at this point though. He's got to try and hold on for a point or two if the car's ahead break down.
As Greg is right on the back of Dan now.
Kevin's 13th and not looking like catching that group.
What, being back on the back of that group?
Oh yeah, so he is. No, Kevin's got a great chance.
Yeah.
Alex Woodger should have pitted a few laps ago. It's a bit late for it now. The strategy's not worked out for him today.
Greg now.
1.2. He was so much quicker on that last lap.
1.1 a few laps ago, and then they hit traffic. I don't think they're catching Alba that quickly.
We'll keep an eye on that gap. 73.9 seconds back from Dan to Alba.
It's a 78 or 77 second lap.
I think the fact that it's just one lapped car on their own makes it so much easier. Like, it's so easy to lose 4 or 5 seconds getting past a group of them.
Dan seems slightly faster through the S's.
That Frozen Light car always been good in terms of downforce.
It's going to be close.
Greg's definitely gaining less time there than anywhere else. But it's down the long straight where he really needs it to make an overtake. Like, I don't think it's going to be close enough this lap, and his exits off this corner haven't been great anyway.
Good exit from Dan.
Perhaps next lap he might be close enough.
3 laps remain. 73.7. Alba's actually pulled away.
So I don't think these two are going to have any more lapped cars to worry about.
One mistake from either of these will end it.
Or as we've seen so many times in this race, a collision between these two.
I'd honestly say Lewis
could well decide it.
Is as likely to win as Greg or Dan.
Thing is, unless they're both out, then they have so much of a gap between themselves and Lewis, so they're easily going to get back on the track.
Because Elle would be an issue.
Perhaps, like, they might have to wait for ages to get back on, but surely in 3/4 of a minute they could find a gap to get back on the track if it came to that.
Maybe.
I don't know if either of them are planning for that situation.
Will Greg go for a move into the stadium?
Dan having to defend that. That's going to put them offline for the next part.
They seem to get back on quite easily.
Now Dan needs a really good exit off this corner.
The thing is, if Dan then gets a... Dan had a decent exit off that corner.
The slipstream's going to be really much more powerful from this distance, though.
This will be a move.
perhaps well before the corner. They're already side by side, and Greg takes the lead even before the braking zone.
Now what can Dan do?
Well, they'll have the advantage of the slipstream now. But it does seem like that DLP car is just that bit quicker right now.
It does.
2 laps to go. They're both going to be giving it everything.
DLP definitely isn't pulling away as such, like not that much. That was good exit off that corner from Greg.
I think Dan's best chance, if they can keep control of that car through the dirty air, if they can gain time through this next section, and get a good exit off the last corner, they might be able to get a good slipstream. But yeah, 8 tenths down. This is starting to look like Greg's to lose.
Very, very impressive drive from Greg.
He's faced so much adversity. Like, he's kept it calm and not got involved in any accidents. But it must have been so tempting so many times to just send it down the inside when he was being held up.
Though, if you gave Frozen Light the option of a 2-3 at the start of the race, I'm sure they would have taken it.
Absolutely.
Especially with Alex out.
It's so strange how Alex immediately seemed to lack pace in this one, because he was so dominant in qualifying.
I don't think we ever got a good idea of how much pace he'd had. Because he had a poor start, and then was in traffic, and then had a collision, and then was in traffic.
And you've got to imagine if he was still running now, he'd probably be around where Lewis is. So, still in 3rd or 4th.
Yeah.
Considering that he was racing Lewis after that accident. So, yeah, Alex probably still had the pace for a good result there. But I was kind of expecting to see him just drive into the distance after that qualifying result. But Formula Omega.
Final time. Dan may have the number 1 on the car, but Greg has number 1 on the timing charts and comes through to win the Mexican Grand Prix in a very impressive race. Dan comes through in 2nd.
Long way back. This is the battle to watch, to be honest.
This is the battle from 7th down to 10th.
L Pitts!
L Pitts! They don't know that it would be the checkered flag.
It's not the last lap in terms of laps run, but they're a lap down. So that's going to drop them right out of the points. L does not see the checkered flag.
Well, that
will
promotes
be classified a lap down.
Lawrence gets a point.
He got past Alex Woodger in the closing stages of the race for that point.
Elise goes 12th. Kevin only 13th. Honestly, Kevin had a good drive, ruined by strategy. Lewis gets the 2nd podium position for Frozen Light.
We're on the podium.
Michael comes home in a very impressive 4th. Jack Coffey 5th for Pentacorn after such an eventful race.
It's not the race he expected, but it's probably about the position he expected.
Yeah. And the final car to cross the line is Alba. Understated race, but a good one. So, that has been the Mexican Grand Prix. Thank you everyone for watching. We will see you next time. Goodbye.